Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I am talking about my 5 most thought-provoking... 1, 2, 3, 4... That's a lie. Today I am talking about the 7 most thought-provoking books I read in 2017. These also all basically made the list onto the best books of 2017, but they were the best for the reason that they were thought-provoking, so I figured I'd make you guys another video and talk about the thought-provoking books as opposed to just lumping them all together in best books. Let's get started. So the first one is The Butterfly Mosque by G. Willow Wilson. This one follows an American girl from Colorado as she travels over to Egypt and then finds herself, converts to Islam, and gets married. This was just an amazing book. I have a review on it which I will link down below. It explains so much, and it delves into the culture clashes between the US and the Islamic countries, the Middle East, which is a very interesting thing to delve into, but quite often when it is discussed, people get very upset. And she discusses it in just a very calm, rational way. She's not attacking anybody, and she's not even trying to convert you. She's not trying to teach you anything. She's just talking about her experience, which I think is a wonderful way to learn about a new culture. Second one is The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. This is a collection of poetry that actually creates a story, which was one aspect that I absolutely adored about it. Also, the poems are just short and evocative and brilliant. The pages are very empty for the most part, so I kind of had this urge to start drawing what came to mind when I read the poems on the pages. I will get to that eventually, and I will show you the results if I like them. But this one also has several trigger warnings. There's a whole page of trigger warnings in the front of the book, so if you do want to check this one out, which I highly recommend, please be sure to check out those trigger warnings first. That said, this is just a great book about female empowerment and going through something really hard, or many somethings really hard, but getting back up on your feet every time and figuring out who you are through it all. Like I said, I thought this was a phenomenal book. Really easy read too, maybe an hour. Number 3 is The Covenant by James Michener. This is a book about the history of South Africa through the eyes of basically 5 families. English, Boer, Indigenous, whatever. Somehow all 5 families go through everything that happens in South Africa for, 1500 years or whatever. But this book was just very interesting because it was published in 1980 before apartheid was finished. It does a good job of portraying the racism and the horrors of apartheid and the racism before apartheid was officially put into law in 1948. It also does a really good job of exploring the tensions between the Boer and the English and just every single group there, which I loved. So it's huge, it's about 1,200 pages, but I think it's highly worth the read if you want to learn about South Africa and you also want to think, because it also made me think about what language means to people and different relationships between groups as well. Number 4 is What Lies Between Us by Naomi Munaweera. I read this book because I joined Joss over at Scribbles Reads book club on Goodreads. Feel free to join it. I'll link her channel down below as well if you want to check it out. You do have to answer a couple of questions if you want to join because she does want to keep the group somewhat contained and make sure that it's going to be an open and free space to communicate. She reads a lot of books by marginalized groups, which is something I really want to learn more about, and I would love to read more, but like I've said before, I don't necessarily know where to start. So her channel and her book club is a fantastic place for me to start branching out from my comfort zone. That said, What Lies Between Us follows a Sri Lankan girl as she grows up and immigrates to the United States with her mother. Water is a huge theme in this, so is motherhood, and I loved them both. They were both done in such a way that they really entwined together, and it was heart-wrenching. This book didn't make me cry, but I definitely was a little bit emotional during it because there's so much going on. So, like I said, this one really made me think just about different races and different cultures and motherhood and everything that goes along with those. Number 6 is The Power by Naomi Alderman. I read this one for another book group started by Emma Watson called Our Shared Shelf on Goodreads. This one reads a lot of feminist bent works. The power explores about 10 years before World War III, where World War III sends us back to the Stone Age, as we suspect it will anyway, except that women have this power to electrocute. So in these 10 years before that, the women discover this power, and the younger ones can wake it up in older women, and everybody sort of freaks. The world is turned upside down because the men don't know what to do with it, and the women are realizing that they don't have to be scared anymore. I thought this was just an amazing exploration of gender dynamics. Also, just the story was great. If you're not that into gender dynamics, read it for the sci-fi part of it, for heaven's sakes. It was just, as both a pure novel and as an exploration of gender dynamics, loved it, because it explores it from both sides. There's male characters in there that you delve into a little bit more. It's a multiple point of view book as well, and everybody obviously ends up coming together, because if you have multiple points of view, they tend to come together anyway. Number 6, number actual 6, because I think I said the power was number 6, whoops. Number actual 6 is The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I read this one, again, on recommendation from Katie, my friend in Nicaragua, because she read it and she was just so angry that we hadn't read it in high school or middle school. Because, to be honest, I'm kind of with her on that. It makes more sense to read this than it does necessarily to read The Great Gatsby. I mean, The Great Gatsby is an amazing work. I talk about that a little bit in my best books video, which I will link down below. There's going to be a lot of links in this video. But Anne Frank's diary is just so heart-wrenching, and it really makes you think, because she doesn't know that she's going to die, whereas we all do. So it's horrifying to read in that regard, but it's also fascinating to get a glimpse into this person's life during World War II. And it really makes you think about what's going on in society today. And the last one is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. This book is it's a dystopian book about a government who controls knowledge, again. So, similar to Ink and Bone by Rachel Caine, which is also in my best books. But in this one, as opposed to just controlling the distribution of knowledge, they also burn down anybody who's found with a book. They burn down their house and they arrest the person. If the person doesn't want to go, then they burn them too. But again, not the point. For that reason, it was heartbreaking to me. I hate the idea of burning books. I cringe, physically cringe at the idea of burning books, because I just, these are my babies. I don't want them burned. But outside of that, it was just very interesting to see what people were writing about at this time and what they thought the distribution of knowledge would be and why. Also, you follow a main character whose ideas change throughout the story, as they should. So it's very interesting to follow him and see what his ideas are and how they evolve during the course of the story. That's all I have. Those are the 7 most thought-provoking books I read this year. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up down below. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button down below. I will leave my Goodreads link down below, along with all those other links in the down bar if you want to check out what I read or the other channels, videos, etc. that I recommended. I will be back at you soon, probably in the new year, with another video. Bye!